Hi there folks! If you're in the market for a good quality tent, you very well may be looking at a Coleman. They are one of the better brands on the market. But even if you know you want a Coleman, you still have a choice to make. Do you want an instant tent or a more traditional pole tent? There are some major differences between the two, and our family actually owns both types. So I am here to help you make a decision as to which one is best for you. Let's roll! Welcome to the channel. My name is Jen, and this space is all about living on less. You're probably here because you're interested in buying a new tent, whether that's a traditional tent or an instant tent, or maybe you're not even a tent camper yet and you're just curious about this topic, or maybe you're one of my subscribers and you're not interested in camping at all, you're just along for the ride. That is totally okay too. Whoever you are, I'm so glad to be able to meet with you today. And I actually find this topic really interesting because we do have a large family, and camping is one of the ways that we save so much money on our family vacations. I mean, you can't get much cheaper than 40 bucks a night at a campsite, and because we tent camp, we're not investing tens of thousands of dollars in a trailer for camping. So today I really wanted to do a review on our Coleman tents because I do think there are a lot of things that people don't talk about and you don't really know when you're going into buying these tents, what you're signing up for, and how long they are going to last. Okay, I thought a great way to do this would be a pros and cons list. Okay, so let's start with the instant tent and let's talk about pros and cons. So this type of tent has one major thing going for it. It is so easy to set up. It literally takes minutes and it only takes one person. Hence the name Instant Tent. By the way, I do have links for our tents down below and some great Coleman choices for instant tents or traditional tents. So if you wanted to check those out after watching this video, please go ahead and do that. Anyway, our dining tent is an instant tent. So when we set up camp, wherever we're going, it's always mom's job to set up the instant tent. Now, let's not get into gendered roles about cooking in a dining tent. We just do it this way because, as you'll see in a moment, the traditional tent is harder to set up. So it's more so that mom is lazy. And I don't want to set up the other tent, so I set up the instant tent. And I let dad and all the other kids set up the other one. So when we bought this tent almost 10 years ago, yes, 10 years ago, if you can believe it, it's still kicking, I was just amazed at how easy it was to set up, but my husband did make one rookie mistake the very first time we set it up, and when he put it away, he took all of the poles out of the clips. Sorry honey if you're watching this video that I'm outing you about this rookie mistake, but if you are watching this, don't do that. The poles are all in the canvas already, and the idea is you don't ever have to take them out of the clips. You don't have to take anything out at all. You just dry out your tent, air out your tent before you store it, and then fold it right back up and put it back in the bag. That is all. That's all that's necessary for putting this tent away. And then when you go to set it up, it's easy, unfold, pop, 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 you're done. Cons of an instant tent. Longevity. I've heard from many instant tent owners that theirs did not last very long. So I think with a dining tent, because it's not being used as the tent we sleep in and we're always in all the time, it likely has lasted longer than your average tent. But I know a lot of people that have the instant tents for sleeping in, and they have commented again and again that the poles broke and they can't easily replace them or put them back together, and so then their tent is kaput. Or in a storm that the tent did not stay up very well because an instant tent tends to be a lot heavier and the poles are a lot heavier. So in a storm, they tend to catch the wind and fall down a lot easier, kind of like a tree would, instead of a nice lightweight, light pole tent that the wind can just pass on by and it's not going to collapse and fall down. The other con is cost. An instant tent does tend to be more expensive than your traditional pole tent. Why? Because it's so easy and convenient to use, and they know it, and Coleman knows they can get more money out of you that way. So they do tend to be a little bit more expensive. So if budget is your concern, you're gonna wanna consider that. So basically, you're sacrificing cost and a bit on the quality and longevity for ease of use. Next up, a traditional pole tent from Coleman. Okay, our family owns, we call it Old Yeller. It is massive, it's yellow, it's the Phoenix line, and it really does fit a ton of kids in there. The reason we loved it so much is that it has a ton of height the whole way across, not just in the center. So we can actually set up, we have bunk bed cots for our kids, sort of like in the army, the way they have bunk bed cots. And I'll link those below too, because we love them. They're called a disco bed, and they have like hanging shelves from the ends of them that are made of canvas for stocking all their stuff in. And yeah, so the height all the way across we loved about this tent. And this tent also has lasted us nearly 10 years. And we do go camping, I mean, 3, 4, 5 times every summer. So, you know, extrapolate that out. This tent has been used probably 40 or 50 times, and it's still kicking. The pros here are longevity and quality. We haven't had a single rip or tear in the canvas of this tent in this many years, and we live in Canada where the weather isn't always great. We have been through many a windstorm and a thunderstorm. No part of this tent has ever ripped on the canvas. It also has a very sturdy, like the base and way up the sides is made of like a heavy tarp material. So the bottom is not going to be, I mean, our cots are made of metal with metal feet, and there's never been ripping or tearing. We have never ever once had water in the bottom of this tent, and that is really saying something as well. So I'm really happy with this investment. I know you can get larger family tents for much cheaper than a Coleman Phoenix, for example, but I think the price has well been worth it. We have had 1 or 2 issues with a pole, like the elastic inside the pole breaking or a pole cracking, easily fixed with just some duct tape. Or my husband just slides it through the pockets. We don't really have to have that elastic inside of the poles. But I will say it's easy to get replacement poles for a tent like this, where not so much for an instant tent, right? Another pro is the cost. Even though I mentioned Coleman's are generally more expensive than other brands, this tent is definitely cheaper than if I were to buy a huge, massive instant tent. So for a frugal mama, it's definitely a great choice. One more con though I will say of this tent is the amount of people it takes to set up a traditional tent. If you're just having like a 1 or 2 person tent, then probably you can set that one up by yourself. But if you have a large family like ours and a large tent, you ain't setting this one up by yourself. You definitely need help to set it up. It's a bit of a chore. So if you're like a single parent with a bunch of kids, it might not be the best choice for you. Okay, in conclusion, which do I think is the better choice? You're probably not gonna like my answer, but it depends. I think you can probably see from watching this video that it totally depends who you are and what your circumstances are. If you're someone who just wants to get to your campsite set up quickly and be done with it, spend a bit more money and get yourself an Insta tent. If you're someone that is a single parent, or maybe you have physical limitations, definitely the instant tent is for you. But if you are really budget conscious and you want this tent for the long haul, then I do think a traditional pole tent is right for you, especially if you want one that is going to not rip or tear and that is really going to be a quality part of your camping collection. So all that's left to decide here is, which type of camper are you? What camp are you in, so to speak? Sorry, I could not resist the pun. Let me know in the comments below, which type of camper are you? What type of tent are you in the market for? Or have you tried both of these, and which did you prefer? Because I really think people coming to this video for advice would like to read that in the comments. And it's just not just my opinion, but what do other people think? If you felt like I answered your question here, please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. It helps it to be seen on YouTube, and then other people that are also questioning this will be able to see this video when they search for it. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and if you're new here and you're interested in living on less and just what our big family does to accomplish that. I talk a lot about, you know, food shopping and food storage, camping, household items, minimalism. So if that's something that interests you, please subscribe to the channel so that we can just keep this party going. I have some videos here to the side that you might be interested in watching as well after this one. So go ahead and click those, and I'll see you in the next video. For the least, this is Jen.